What do you get when you mix Brazilian beach culture, really addictive scents, and a one-of-its-kind body cream? A beauty brand that went from a complete unknown to global domination almost overnight. Sol de Janeiro's plan from the start wasn't just to sell moisturizer. They were selling a whole image, a unique perspective, and a body-positive philosophy, and it obviously worked very, very well. This brand's rise has been really interesting to watch, really. They found cult success in their early years with one single hero product, grown that out with regular successful product launches, seen repeated TikTok virality, and had a major buyout in less than a decade. So how on earth did they do it? How did Sol de Janeiro go from a tiny startup to one of the most talked about beauty brands in the entire world? How did they manage to avoid the controversies that so many brands so easily fall into? And what is next for a company that built an empire out of a space that barely existed before they came along? Chapter 1: Origins and Founders. With a name like Sol de Janeiro and products called things like Brazilian Bum Bum Cream and Sundays in Rio, it's probably fairly obvious that the brand's origins are founded in Brazil. But the origins of the brand's three co-founders is a little bit more diverse. The story arguably starts with Hila Yang, who is the CEO and the face of the brand. She was born in Korea before emigrating to the US with her family at a really young age. She went on to graduate from Harvard Business School before building over a decade of experience with major beauty brands like Lancome and Clinique, where she held the position of Director of Marketing and Head of Global Skincare Strategy. But her career trajectory actually changed drastically in 2008 when she left her life in New York and moved to Rio de Janeiro with her husband. At first, Yang planned on getting a job in Brazil and continuing her pretty impressive career, but those plans quickly changed when she found out she was pregnant shortly after arriving to the country. Rather than ending her career in beauty, her pregnancy helped inspire her to go in a completely new direction. Instead of working for beauty companies, she was going to start her own. The idea came about when she wanted to go to the beach during her pregnancy. She was feeling a little self-conscious about her appearance and was really hesitant to show too much of her body. But when she got to the beach, she properly noticed for the first time how inclusive and body positive Brazil's beach culture really is. This experience completely shifted her perspective. She saw how Brazilian people of all shapes, sizes, and skin tones were confident enough just to show up as who they were. They celebrated their unique bodies rather than trying to fit into one narrow idea of what anyone says beauty standards are. And this is what really inspired Yang to create a skincare brand that embodied the feeling that beauty is about your attitude. It's not a standard to aspire to. It will be rooted in self-love rather than attaining perfection, because perfection doesn't exist. I forgot my own slogan then. In an interview with Women's Wear Daily, Yang said the genesis of the brand was to bring Brazilian confidence to the world. This sense of feeling really good in your own skin, no matter what shape, size, color, or gender preference. That's what I personally experienced when I moved to Brazil. I want to move to Brazil. That's enough to make me move to Brazil. And so the idea for Sol de Janeiro was born. It would be a while before the brand really started to take shape, but the seed was planted, you know. But she needs some help to make it grow, and that's where the other two founders come in. Whilst living in Brazil, Yang met Mark Capra, an American national who'd been living in Brazil for some time at that point, as well as Camilla Pierotti, I want to say, who was born and raised in Rio. It was the combination of their skills and experiences that helped shape what Sol de Janeiro would become. Hila Yang brought her 12 years of experience working in marketing for huge major beauty brands in the US, as well as a wealth of business knowledge. She gave the brand its kind of like strategic edge. Mark Capra brought his own experience in running businesses, but focused more on the operations side of things. He helped make their big ideas actually happen. And Camilla Pierotti brought a unique cultural perspective and understanding of Brazilian beauty, from the country's love of body care, their unique beauty rituals, and kind of like joyful, unapologetic attitude towards loving their own bodies. She was like the brand's beating heart, key in shaping Sol de Janeiro's identity as a brand. And that brand identity is reflected by the somewhat unusual name the founders chose, Sol de Janeiro. In English, it means Sun of January, which is when summer reaches its peak in Brazil. The founders have said that the name was meant to evoke the like playful, vibrant energy of the Rio beach during the summer, and I get it. It does. I feel it, I think. Yeah. The name seems to fit the brand perfectly, really, seen as from the very start, Sol de Janeiro wasn't trying to fit into like this classic luxury beauty mold. They wanted it to be playful, inclusive, and proudly body obsessed in the most positive way possible. And again, it wasn't about having some kind of like stereotypically perfect body, but about loving the body that you have and feeling good. And as somebody who doesn't even use the brand, I feel like the brand really does reflect that. Now that sounds like a lovely idea, but lovely ideas don't always work out. So how exactly did a brand inspired by Brazilian beaches become a global beauty sensation? Chapter 2: Launch and Early Response. When Sol de Janeiro officially launched in March of 2016, it didn't come out with a huge product lineup or some kind of complex skincare philosophy. Instead, they kept things very simple, debuting with just 3 products. Well, I say simple, but the products they decided to launch with were interesting, let's say. They included the Samba 2-step foot fetish care, which is a unique product that comes with a smoothing board to remove any rough and callous areas on the feet, as well as a fast absorbing cream to hydrate and condition dry feet. That sounds nice. Brazilian Golden Body Veil, a hair lightening product for your arms, legs, tummy, and face. It was meant to kind of like transform all that peach fuzz into a lustrous golden veil, apparently. That would be interesting to see. And finally, the brand's new iconic Brazilian Bum Bum Cream, a visibly affirming body cream with a unique scent. Why did I say it like that? With a unique scent of pistachio, salted caramel, and vanilla, formulated with guarana extract to help tighten the skin, kapuku butter to lock in moisture, and Brazilian nut oil for antioxidant protection. Now, a huge part of Sol de Janeiro's success is down to the popularity of that Brazilian Bum Bum Cream. I mean, that's the product I think about when I think of this brand. It wasn't just your average body moisturizer. First of all, the name alone made it stand out a lot. It made some people look twice and say like, did they really call it a bum bum cream? Because when I think of that, I think of like pseudo cream for like a sore bum, or like nappy rash cream. But yes, they called it that, and as ridiculous as it might sound to some, it worked. It was a little bit cheeky, confident, and a little bit rebellious all at the same time, which fit perfectly with the brand's origins and ethos. But once they had your attention, what really stood out was the formula. It wasn't just a product, it was a whole experience, you could say. The combination of the addictive scent, rich texture, and beach body confidence marketing strategy really helped make it an instant hit with skincare enthusiasts. And I'll be honest, I don't love the smell of this product, but when I pick it up, when I'm in a shop, I'm gonna sniff the tester. I always do, and then I always have another sniff. I don't want it on me, I'd have it on a candle, but people like the scent of this product too. And although Brazilian Bum Bum Cream was particularly successful, it was really the brand's philosophy that set Sol de Janeiro apart from so many other brands at the time. Body skincare, for the most part, was pretty boring back then, let's be honest. Pretty generic. Dove, Nivea. That being said, body products generally fell into 2 main camps, right? Either they were affordable drugstore basics, or these like clinical brands that try to fix specific skincare issues. Outside of that, there were a few premium products available, but those also felt a little bit stuffy, a bit old-fashioned, and not really exciting anymore, and they were also ridiculously expensive. Sol de Janeiro was something completely different, and honestly, I still think stands out amongst all the body care out there. The packaging was bright and colorful, the product names were fun and a little bit cheeky, the scents are amazing, as I said, and the whole brand was surrounded by this Brazilian feel-good body positive energy. And it wasn't just basic, affordable skincare, it was luxurious without being crazy expensive. It wasn't just about fixing something wrong with your skin, but about celebrating your body and making it the best it can be without having to really drastically change anything, because your body doesn't need changing. Whether you were like just heading to the beach or just moisturizing before bed, the brand made you feel like you were relaxing under that Rio sun. And it was a strategy that resonated with a lot of consumers. I hate the sun, but this makes me want to go to Brazil, you know? I don't think I own a single product from this brand, but doing this video, it makes me genuinely excited about the brand because of the marketing. It's good, it works. And because of that, the brand did well right from the start, with the Bum Bum Cream becoming Sephora's best-selling skincare cream within just a few months of the launch. And things just got better from there. Within 3 years, what had started as as a niche brand had exploded into a global phenomenon, with the brand selling one tub of the Bum Bum cream every 4 seconds. That's crazy, and really not bad for something that Yang and her co-founders initially created in her living room. The Bum Bum cream, I don't know how many times I'm gonna have to say that in this video, it wasn't the only early success for the brand either. When they launched their Brazilian foreplay shower gel on Sephora's online store, they sold out in just 6 hours. As well as other products like their Brazilian Kiss Cupucu lip butter, the Acai body power cream also performed really well for Sol de Janeiro. It wasn't just one hero product that was driving the brand forward, but the way consumers were connecting with their philosophy and marketing. It's almost like so many people had so many different hero products from the brand when they first launched. Even though the Bum Bum cream really stands out, people already had their cult favorite products at this early stage in Sol de Janeiro's launch. So they had not only successfully established itself in the luxury body care space, it had changed the space entirely. It made body care a lot more exciting and led a growing wave of body-focused skincare at a time when most brands had treated it as an afterthought. But despite the brand's early success, this was just the start. Next, let's look at how Sol de Janeiro took their cultural status to the next level and evolved way beyond their famous Bum Bum cream. Chapter 3: Fragrances and TikTok Success. Up until now, a key part of Sol de Janeiro's success has been the fragrances that people associate with their products. I'm not fond of them all. I'll sniff the Bum Bum cream. The others are maybe like a little bit too Body Shop, too young for me, let's say. But the iconic Cheirosa 62 fragrance that helped make the Bum Bum cream so popular, I think everybody loves that. And if they don't love it, they can understand why it's so popular. That blend of pistachio, salted caramel, and vanilla became instantly recognizable to fans of the brand who couldn't get enough of it. So it made perfect sense when the brand kind of leaned into this and launched their first fragrance in 2020, their Cheirosa 62 perfume mist. It gave consumers the scent they loved so much without having to moisturize first to get it. And this wasn't just a guess from the brand about what their customers wanted. It came directly from them asking for it. In an interview with High Snobiety, Yang said, "We didn't start out by saying we're going to be a fragrance brand or even one day we're going to be a fragrance brand. But we always listened to our customers and we launched the same perfume mist in the same scent as a Brazilian Bum Bum cream because they asked for it." And this is often the case. When brands actually listen to what their fans want, it works out pretty well. The fragrance became like another huge success for the brand, tripling their sales for the year, going viral on social media and becoming the best-selling fragrance on Sephora's website. It apparently sold 900% more units than the second highest selling fragrance. Within a few days, it was completely sold out on Sephora. After this huge success, Sol de Janeiro decided to give fans more of what they wanted, following that up with an entire line of fragrances this time. They all had their differences, but they all shared the same Sol de Janeiro personality. They were bold, sunny, and felt like a beach holiday in a bottle. Some of them do smell a little bit too beachy for me. Like I remember smelling one, I was like, that smells like sunscreen. Or like a day at the beach where you've applied sunscreen, you know, and you also have a cocktail. It's a bit too accurate for somebody who likes the winter, you know, but they all smell decent. They launched new scents regularly, actually, making many of them limited editions and successfully created a lot of buzz on social media. They almost became like a collectible to a lot of people, you know, with influencers on like every platform posting their Sol de Janeiro fragrance hauls and praising the scents as well as the packaging. And you see people do like all these shelfies of all their collections, almost like people's Stanley Cup collections. And it helped that the brand priced their fragrances in a similar way to their other products. They weren't super cheap, coming in at between $24 and $38, but they weren't super expensive either. Just like their early products, Sol de Janeiro's fragrances sat in between like an average drugstore scent and what you would pay for like a designer eau de parfum. Unlike many brands that claim to be affordable luxury, Sol de Janeiro actually is. And they didn't stop at fragrances. They also made their first steps into offering color cosmetics. They started with their Glow Motion Glow Body Oil, which I see everywhere all the time to this day, and that's like a lightweight body oil meant to soften the skin, hydrate, and provide that like really shimmery finish in a variety of different shades. It kind of looks like glitter to me, but you know, they followed that up with their Brazilian Kiss tinted lip butter, which was the same formula as their original Cupuaçu lip butter, that's how you say it, but with the option of 3 sheer shades: Keep It Rio, Teeny Bikini, and Soulmate. Very cute, it's very cute. Both entries into the color cosmetic space were pretty well received by fans, likely because they kept the brand brand's focus on efficacy, whilst adding in some like fun color and vibrancy, and it fits with what Sol de Janeiro are all about again, so it wasn't a crazy departure from their normal efforts. Another thing the brand did pretty well during this time was understanding that you don't need huge ad campaigns or celebrity endorsements to sell beauty products anymore. They have since gone on to partner with some celebrities like Barbie Fiera and Brazilian musician Anitta, but in their like first 4 to 5 years, their focus really was on engaging directly with everyday users, listening to them and building up a community around the brand. And they did this partly by being active and kind of like friendly on their own social media platforms, always keeping things like positive and fun and inclusive when engaging with fans. They would regularly repost content from their everyday consumers, they jump on trending memes or TikTok sounds in a nice playful way, often poking fun at themselves, and they generally seem to actually enjoy engaging with their fans rather than seeing it as a chore and something they just had to do. But they also relied on thousands of influencers of various sizes to promote their products. They have collaborated with some of the bigger names, but they also send out a lot of products and samples to people with relatively small followings, micro-influencers. And this like willingness to work with micro-influencers has played a huge part in growing the brand. And because their products are so well liked, when someone inevitably films themselves trying out a cream or raving about how many compliments they get whilst wearing the body mist, they get authentic promotion from people that their fans actually trust, not some celebrity they know has just been paid millions to say nice things. It also helps that the brand's whole aesthetic is very social media friendly, like the bright, bold packaging, the sassy, like fun product names, and the overall positive messaging of the brand really does stand out online, especially on TikTok, where the brand has benefited from multiple like viral moments, and especially in like a skincare world where everything is about science. This has to work, it's backed by derms, it's backed by science. You know, there's a lot of room now there for more fun skin-tertainment, you know? And thanks to all of this, by the end of 2021, Sol de Janeiro wasn't just an up-and-coming like quirky brand anymore. It was a fixture of the modern beauty world, one of the key players in the beauty game. It had firmly established its place in a very saturated market and had become more culturally relevant than the majority of brands around. Chapter 4: Acquisition and Continued Growth. During the last 5 years, the expansion and growth of Sol de Janeiro's success definitely hadn't gone unnoticed by the rest of the beauty industry. And by 2021, it was clear to many that the brand wasn't just a flash in the pan, riding the hype of like their bum bum cream. It was here to stay and was rapidly becoming a serious player in the beauty industry. So in November of 2021, after the huge popularity of their fragrances had taken the internet by storm, Yang and her co-founders decided to sell an 83% stake in the company to the L'Occitane group, which at least kind of makes a change from like L'Oreal and Estee Lauder buying everything, because usually that's like, we know where brands go when they're bought out by Estee Lauder or L'Oreal. But I also thought L'Occitane was owned by L'Oreal. I don't know. Anyway, the luxury beauty conglomerate, which also owns brands like L'Occitane, Elemis, Erborian, valued Sol de Janeiro at $450 million, which is huge for a company that only launched 5 years earlier with a product called Bum Bum Cream. It's not quite Rhode and Hailey Bieber, but it's huge. This is, you know, what happened to Hailey Bieber was incredible. In an official press release regarding the acquisition, Yang said, "I have always admired L'Occitane, a beautiful lifestyle brand anchored in a deep commitment to sustainability, and we are thrilled to have found a home with the group to continue our drive to drive our explosive growth. Furthermore, we are ecstatic to have found a partner who so deeply respects our brand's vision and values of inclusivity, joy, and self-celebration." And she has also reiterated this in so many different interviews, explaining that a big part of the decision to sell a majority stake in the company was because she wanted to let the brand flourish beyond being a small, fast-growing company. You know, it's kind of natural progression for a brand, right? She wanted to use the resources and infrastructure of a large, established beauty company to help the brand grow even faster and reach more people who might love the product. And she wouldn't be completely out of the picture either. She'd still be staying on as CEO and would remain in a minority share in the business. The acquisition was a sign of just how well the brand had been doing in recent years. They had gone from net sales of $39 million in 2019 to $60 million in 2020. And the 2021 figures haven't officially been released, but the sources have estimated that net sales would have been around $110 million in 2021. As I said, that's impressive growth for an indie beauty brand, but with the help of the L'Occitane's global distribution network, operational resources, and retail expertise, that growth went to another level after their takeover. Again, 2022 figures haven't been released, but from the start of the brand's financial year in April 2023 to the end of that year, sales hit 474 million. That's just for like a 9-month period. And by the end of that financial year, those figures had increased to 686 million. That's an insane amount of growth from an estimated 110 million in 2021 to over 6 times that amount less than 3 years later. That's crazy. And L'Occitane Group put this incredible growth down to a steady rate of new product launches, as well as Sol de Janeiro's continued expansion into new distribution channels globally. What's arguably more impressive, though, is how the brand managed to expand so rapidly without losing any of its like DNA. A lot of the time we see when big companies buy out indie brands, right? We see an erosion of all the values the brand ever stood for in the first place, and like how they gained that huge cult following. But with L'Occitane, Sol de Janeiro appears to have found a partner that gets what they're about and are willing to just support their growth rather than changing too much. And in fact, under the new ownership, Sol de Janeiro seems to have doubled down on what they do so well, continue to focus on vibrant scent-forward products, these like indulgent textures, and that feel-good marketing that made them so successful in the first place. We got new fragrance mists, more body butters, new formats like minis, mini sizes for traveling, and on top of that, L'Occitane helped to give Sol de Janeiro more retail visibility with prominent end cap displays and like prime spots in the fragrance sections of their store locations. Suddenly, Sol de Janeiro was impossible to miss if you were shopping in person. This was a noticeable change from their early days, seeing as the majority of brand sales had previously come through like their own online channels. But the brand's like unmistakable, unmissable, bright yellow, hot pink, and bold teal packaging now sat beside prestigious like legacy brands, and they didn't seem out of place at all. Chapter 5: Criticisms and kind of lack of controversies. Now, I'm going to be honest, usually in these behind the beauty videos, we have a whole long section about the controversies the brand has gotten into over however so many years. And that's usually how I pick a brand. I'm like, what brand has a controversy? Let's see what led them to it. Let's see their history. But when it comes to Sol de Janeiro, controversy has been few and far between. There have been a few minor kind of like and somewhat bizarre issues that they faced throughout, which I'll get into now and I've discussed briefly before. I'll start with some of the more grounded criticisms first before we get into some of the weirder controversies I've heard about when it comes to beauty brands. One of the main criticisms that is regularly aimed at Sol de Janeiro is to do with the fragrances that the brand is so well known for. And these complaints cover a range of perceived issues with both the specific fragrances the brand sells, as well as the scents in their skincare products. The complaints about their fragrances are either that they're overwhelmingly sweet smelling, which I agree with, or that they smell like plastic. They do have that very synthetic smell to them, which is I think why they don't quite pull me in, or even that the scents actually don't last very long. And some people honestly say that they're just glorified like body sprays that are way overpriced for what they are. On the perfumes Reddit thread, you can find people saying things like, I've only smelled Cheirosa 62 and was literally so disappointed after how people rave about this smell. It smells like Play-Doh with some artificial fragrance. I can't even. Somebody else says to me, it smells like that weird plastic mixed with popcorn smell that you get when you walk into Target. I tried to like it, but I ended up tossing it. Somebody else said it's Bath and Body Works in a nice outfit for several times the price. It surprises me that anyone bothers. Somebody else says, I love the smell, but the problem is the longevity. It lasts for 5 seconds on my skin. For the price, one would think it would be better in that aspect. And to be fair, the founders know they would face some criticisms when they decided to go into these strong gourmand fragrances in their products. They even got warned by friends and family not to use scents they did because they were so polarizing. And aside from how people felt about the smell, having heavily fragranced products also stops a lot of people with allergies or sensitivities from buying them. But that's fine. That's why I don't buy them. But at the end of the day, Yang and her co-founders decided that these scents fit best with what the brand was trying to be. You're always going to put some people off when it comes to fragrances, especially when we're talking about fragrance in skincare products. It's a very personal thing and you can never please everyone, right? I find them young. I find them too young. I find like they're like, almost like my first perfume, kind of, you know? Like when I was young, Like I'd be spraying Lynx or Axe body spray and all my friends would be spraying that watermelon Body Shop spray. It kind of reminds me of that, you know. Some people saw Sol de Janeiro's Brazilian Bum Bum cream as less cultural appreciation and more cultural appropriation. There was a petition go around for Sol de Janeiro to review the name of the Brazilian Bum Bum cream. The Change.org petition said that the Brazilian Bum Bum cream name perpetuates the stereotype Brazilian women are fighting against for so long, objectifying their bodies, legitimizing sexual harassment, referring to the name as misogynistic, a racist fetish, and dehumanizing Brazilian women. There has been no update for 5 years. Another major criticism the brand receives is accusations of cultural appropriation. Quite a lot of consumers feel that Sol de Janeiro is being disingenuous with its branding and it's unfairly profiting from Brazilian culture and objectification of Brazilian women. I think a lot of that stems from the fact that Healer Yang is Korean American, that she's the CEO and the face of the brand. So she's the one who does the vast majority of interviews, press releases, and most people aren't aware that there are actually 3 founders, one of which, Camilla, is Brazilian. But I do get that for some people it's a bit of a grey area because Yang was the one who came up with the idea originally before bringing in all these other people who she felt shared her vision of what the brand would be. And I know she felt inspired by Brazilian culture, but for some people that doesn't make it okay to profit from a culture that isn't yours. And it definitely doesn't help that L'Occitane, a brand with no connections to Brazil, has come in and bought a majority stake in their brand. That has led even more people to question the authenticity and morality of Sol de Janeiro's very specific type of branding. You know, but whatever your thoughts are on these issues, none of them have caused major scandal for the brand, really. Certainly not to the level that we're seeing from many other beauty brands. And that brings me on to what is probably the closest thing to controversy the brand has ever experienced: the completely bizarre claim that Sol de Janeiro's Delicia Drenched Body Butter attracts spiders. Do you remember this? This was like 2 years ago, and I feel like I was literally talking about it yesterday. It all started in December of 2023, when someone called Chemcats left a 1-star review of the product on Sephora's website. It's a long one, but I promise you it's worth it. It said, header, scent attracts wolf spiders. If you're scared of wolf spiders, watch out for these lotions. Lol. I wanted to love them so bad, but one of the ingredients is like kryptonite to wolf spiders. When I put it on, instantly one would come out. Normally, I see one like every 3 years. Use this and it was every day. I stopped using it and haven't seen one since. Oh, and one time, the spider wanted to eat whatever ingredient is so bad that it chased me. I swear on everything. I'd run left, it ran left. I ran right, it ran right. Like it was legit following the scent. And no, the scent isn't that good. Nothing a $5 vanilla cream can't match. So yeah, do be careful if you're frightened of spiders, especially big wolf ones. Again, please don't hurt them if you do wear this and they appear. Use a cup and put them outside. Sorry for a disappointing review. Okay, so obviously most people realized that this was just someone trolling. Some even pointed out that this user had actually left the same review, or at least some of the same claims about spiders on several different products. It was clearly written by like a child. So it obviously wasn't real, but that didn't stop it from going viral, like truly viral. A few days later, this was all over TikTok, Reddit, Twitter, pretty much everywhere. And one Reddit user even did their own investigation into the ingredients that attract spiders, citing a study published by the Journal of Ecology, which seemed to support the idea that some ingredients, when combined, can produce what is basically spider pheromones, which might attract male spiders. But just so you can all sleep tonight, cosmetic chemist Javon Ford debunked these claims. His content is incredible, no bullshit, straight to the point. Love it. Pointing out that the study used a different type of spider, that the ingredients mentioned would have to be used in a very, very specific ratio to even have an effect, and that there is no evidence that these ingredients are even in Sol de Janeiro's cream. Other scientists and chemists kind of like also backed up Ford's take on this issue, and Sol de Janeiro actually had to release a statement about a week after the claims saying, "We didn't think we would wrap up 2023 by becoming an urban legend, but all of our products, including our new Delicia Drenched Body Butter and Cheirosa 59 perfume mist, are free from farnesyl acetate, disobutyl phthalate, and hexadecyl acetate. So while they may attract a lot of attention from people, they won't from arachnids." And I love that. I love that they just came out and kind of like had to release a statement and had humor about it. So yes, a lot of people quickly learned they didn't have to throw their products away. They were perfectly safe. Chapter 6, What's Next? Okay, so Sol de Janeiro has managed to avoid any major controversies so far, which is pretty oppressive on its own, to be honest. It seems like most beauty brands can't make it 6 months without creating some kind of controversies these days, whether it's the CEOs, bad customer service, usually racism, let's be honest. But what is next for the brand? They're one of the biggest success stories in beauty right now. In fact, they were named in Fast Company's top 50 most innovative companies of 2024, coming in 39th overall in their rankings and first out of all the beauty brands. That was well-deserved recognition for their clever branding, viral marketing strategies, and regular conveyor belt of cult products. They were also included in WWD's most powerful beauty brands of 2024 ranking, after also winning the magazine's Beauty Brand of the Year award in 2023. And they even helped propel parent company L'Occitane International to number 18 in WWD's ranking of biggest beauty brands by revenue in 2024, with Sol de Janeiro accounting for almost a third of the conglomerate's overall sales. And with their recent spikes in sales figures thanks to L'Occitane's help, Sol de Janeiro is expected to break the 1 billion sales barrier in a single year soon. They've won award after award in recent years and are one of the fastest growing beauty brands around at the moment. But what are they doing to keep things that way? Because we've seen how quickly euphoria, brands can plummet and die. Well, it doesn't look like they're showing any signs of slowing down anytime soon. In 2024, they expanded into the sunscreen category with a 3-product lineup consisting of Rio Radiance SPF 50 body lotion, Rio Radiance SPF body spray, and Rio Radiance SPF 50 body oil. And they launched a campaign for the range, which is called Sunscreen Worthy of Your Skin, starring model and influencer Sophia Richie-Grange as the face of the campaign. It was a smart move. I hate the smell of this sunscreen. Horrific. It was horrible. And I was doing a meet and greet. Sorry, story time. I was doing a meet and greet in Space NK and the queue was going past the display and I saw people in the queue who were coming to meet me and Robert, picking up the product and smelling it and pulling a face. A lot of people didn't like the smell. However, it was a smart move as she seems to fit in perfectly with the brand's philosophy and positioning. And she's kind of like a Gen Z fashion icon with her huge influence over that generation of consumers, which does help the brand connect further with a younger audience and reinforces their status as a luxury beauty brand. The move into the sunscreen market was actually pretty well timed as well, with more and more consumers realizing that daily SPF is essential for good skincare and people don't just want sun protection anymore. They want to look good, feel good, and smell amazing whilst wearing their sunscreen. All things Sol de Janeiro are known for delivering on. The move has been hugely successful for the brand. It's pretty much like everything they do at the moment just does well. And they've continued with more new products in 2025, launching multiple new fragrances like Sundays in Rio perfume mist, the Cheirosa 39 perfume mist, and the Flora Mystica and Agua Mystica mist, all of which are limited edition and have drawn some major buzz and excitement, which seems to come with every new fragrance the brand puts out. But it's not like the brand doesn't have any challenges to face going forward. As Sol de Janeiro continues to grow in popularity, they've had to deal with the ever-growing wave of dupes, from Tesco here in the UK to Five Below in the US. Low-cost alternatives that mimic Sol de Janeiro's packaging, scents, and product textures have started popping up everywhere at a fraction of the price. Obviously, this isn't a problem unique to Sol de Janeiro, but not every brand continues to stand out when more affordable dupes come along, and it remains to be seen if their fans will stay loyal when there are cheaper options available. To be honest, I think Sol de Janeiro will probably be okay, because it's not just the products themselves that people flock to the brand for. A big part of their appeal is their overall philosophy, positive messaging as a brand, and they've worked so hard over the years to create a loyal community of customers. They should be okay. I feel like people love the brand as a whole and the brand name. I don't think people are going to have the same kind of satisfaction from buying a body mist from Tesco. And that's basically the story of Sol de Janeiro so far. They've gone from a minimal free product launch inspired by Brazilian beach culture to a billion-dollar beauty empire. Sol de Janeiro has become one of the most iconic body care brands around today, and it's taken them less than 10 years to do it. That's pretty impressive, especially considering that they've gone against so many of the norms we've come to expect from luxury beauty brands and still managed to not only find success, but essentially created a whole new category of body care products. But let me know what you think about Sol de Janeiro in the comments, their rise to prominence. What do you think has really made the brand so successful? Do you think it will continue? Or are you kind of already over what they have to offer? Because for me, when a product does truly go viral, there has to come a time when something else comes along.